to massive stress and like, oh my God, when in fact the information is kind of half true. So we want you to be an informed consumer. So these are just some simple, basic, not important, really important, but basic terms to know that you'll hear when you visit a college campus. You might hear that they might say, well, we're on the Common App, or we're an early action school, or we have an early decision policy. If you look at this, you'll have a general knowledge, general idea of what this means, which can change the whole focus of your school search or college search, okay? So just keep that in mind. And we're not gonna go through every single thing here, but this is a good start point, is the college knowledge for parents. Okay, just by a show of hands, how many of you who are sitting here, this is your first child going through the process? You raise your hand? Okay, cool, this is awesome, thank you. So, it does not have to be painful, it does not have to be stressful. What I want to show you is choices. So we are certainly slanting this a little bit towards the four-year college search. But please, for me, when I say the word college, what pops up in my mind is not just Northern Illinois or U of I or St. Norbert's or Purdue. It is any kind of schooling beyond high school. So everything we're talking about, choices and decisions and what you have to do and how to be prepared and talking to your student, we can apply that to any of the branches of the military. We can apply that to any of the wide variety of trade and tech schools we have. We can apply that to community college in the sense that all the certificate programs that Harper offers versus all the associate degree programs Harper offers. And then we can look at four-year schools. And in the world of four-year schools, we have very selective schools. We have very liberal admission schools. We have big schools, small schools, urban schools, so a lot of different things. So whatever pathway your student is choosing, and what your student is thinking now, that could definitely change, and that's okay. So it's kind of even the proverbial question of like, what are you going to major in? We got to find the college that has that major, and God forbid if they want to change their major. It's okay, but we back it up to the student, and we message this out to kids. They need to have a plan. Like, okay, I'm not thinking this anymore. I'm thinking this because boom, boom, and boom. Logical, okay? So we're just keeping in the theme of that. My website I designed is kind of like, we have, what's your plan? Is it a four-year school? Is it Harper? Is it certificate, trade unions or apprenticeship programs, or is it a branch of the military? And even if you click on four-year schools, we show links that you can do research on. You can look and find information. Naviance is our District 214 college and career search software, web-based software. There's College Navigator, College Board. So these are tools, these are links, these are good things. These are good, reputable links that help you narrow down a search for what you're looking for. Again, I think it's really important to understand terminology, to understand what you're, like when you visit a university versus a college, what the difference is, to learn about like a land grant state school versus a non-land grant state school, being an informed consumer. And then we talked about right fit, I talked about right fit, and I think I failed to mention, I'm going to try to talk and wrap this up like in about 10, 15, 20 minutes-ish, and then I want to definitely leave some time for our presenters to speak to you about their institution or their type of school. And hopefully you can compare and contrast when you hear them talking and describing their school. You might say, oh, that fits my kid. Or, oh, that's something I really think we should look at for my child. I think that would be a good thing. Or, definitely not, that's not what I'm looking for, or what I think he or she's looking for. So the whole logic is you're going to compare and contrast two different schools. We've kind of embedded some strategic questions for them to answer that are like the frequently asked questions. So they're going to address that, and we'll go from there. So I think I forgot to mention that. So, finding the right fit, diving a little bit deeper down in the weeds on like, what does that mean? My thought is three kind of categories. You have an academic fit, a social fit, and a financial fit. Okay? So like that academic fit, what kind of learner are you? How do you learn best? What do you want to major in? Finding a school that like fits the needs of a student's academic plans. And even if that means that they're undecided, that's okay. That doesn't mean you have to pick, like, we gotta find a school that has. For example, Purdue is a large campus, a large Big Ten school. They have hundreds and hundreds of majors. Maybe that's a good thought if a student's completely undecided. They have lots of choice. Maybe that's right for one student, maybe not right for another student. But the academic fit. So you get down on campus and you got that, the student, you leave school and you have that really good feel, like they have that thing in their feeling in their gut, like, wow, this is awesome, I can't wait to get here, this is great. So ask your student, why do you have that feeling? Why is this important for you? What do you like about it? If it can check off these three things, that's a good sign. So academic fit. We said, what kind of learner are you? Social fit. What's your student's social style? Is your student a social butterfly? They have a bazillion friends, their Instagram, Snap is like thousands and thousands of people, everybody's their friend, like that's their being. So we want to find a place that that fits their need. Because that's going to be home for their 4 or 5 years. Maybe you have a student who has, a solid group of a smaller group of friends, but they're close, tight-knit, it's like a different kind of thing. We want to find a school that kind of lends itself to that kind of environment for your son or daughter. Because when they fit in, 9 times out of 10, there's academic success. And things are good, they are happy, they're productive, it's a good experience. And that's what we want. And then moms and dads and guardians, I know you've been thinking about this probably for a long time, the money, financial fit. I do want to say one caveat, please, early on, as sophomore year and as you go, please don't exclude a school. Don't tell your kid, your son or daughter, absolutely not. You cannot look at this school because it is, look at the sticker price on this. It is way too much money, so just get that out of your mind. Don't do that. Okay, maybe our presenters can speak to that a little bit more when they're talking. But I have seen a lot of amazing award letters from college, from higher price schools for students. It happens regularly. It's not a guarantee, but it does happen. So kind of think of it at the top of the funnel, finding that right fit. And it's your sophomore year, the mid to later sophomore year, like we're at the top of the funnel. Don't exclude anything. As time goes on is when you start whittling down choices and options and then maybe talk about the money and like affordability. But anyway, those are the three kind of things, academic fit, social, and financial fit, are some things to think about. And so the theme is, there's a lot of choices out there, right? So, I think a lot of times we're a victim of, we gravitate to what we know, right? Like, if you came in with, or you walked in here and you saw a family or a parent that you knew, you probably were sitting by them. My wife and I go out to, a couple go-to restaurants, and I order the same damn thing every time I go there. It's just what I know. So, when you are talking with people and you are meeting with friends and stuff like that, and looking at schools, and you say, well, I've never heard of this school. Don't say, don't dismiss it because you never heard of it. Because there's lots of great schools out there. In fact, I want to do a little pop quiz. So, let's test your knowledge, college knowledge, people. How many colleges and universities are there in the U.S., including private, public, community college, 2-year schools, trade, and tech, everything? All kind of schools outside of the military that a student can go to after they graduate high school. Is it A, 2554, B, 3,982, C, 4,600, or D, 1,286? How many people think it's A? Raise your hand. Okay. How many think it's B? Raise your hand. Okay. How many think it's C? 4,600. And how many people think it's D? 1,286. All right, looks like we have the majority B and C. The The answer is 4,600. Just think about that. From coast to coast, there's 4,600 schools of different kinds, all different kinds. Again, we say this to you or give you this stat not to freak you out, not to overwhelm, like, oh my God, I'm like worried now. Not at all. But just on the flip side, to show you and families that there's a lot of cool choices, more than you can ever imagine. And that's what myself and my counterparts help out at our schools to narrow that down with your son or daughter, if they want some assistance with that. Okay, another question, kind of narrowing down. How many four-year colleges and universities are there in the U.S.? Just four-year colleges, four-year institutions, I say, colleges and universities. Is it A, 3,000, B, 2,550, C, 2,300, or D, 4,000? How many say A? Raise your hand. Okay. How many say B? Okay, a couple. How many say C, 2,300? A couple. And how many say D, 4,000? All right, well, that was a little bit not as sure. The answer is A, 3,000 colleges and universities. So if you're looking at a four-year bachelor degree granting institution, you have a lot of choices. But you're going to see we can easily narrow down that number, so don't get overwhelmed. A couple more questions. How many colleges and universities are there in Illinois? A, 278, B, 149, C, 100, or D, 500? How many say A? Raise your hand, please. Okay, B? Okay, C? And D. All right, B. B's have it. 149 schools in the great state of Illinois. All right, so even if you're looking closer, can you see what we're doing? We start off nationwide, and we are shrinking it, and we can shrink it even more. And then I got, yeah, one more. This is not a numbers thing, but I like this one. How many four-year colleges admit less than 1/3 of their applicants? This kind of clarifies or defines a selective school. So if there's like 1,000 kids, they only offer admission to 1/3 of them, that's pretty competitive, just in general terms. So nationwide, how many colleges admit less than 1/3? 1,000, 500, 100, or 25? How many people say 1,000? Okay, how many people say there are 500 colleges nationwide that admit 1/3? How many say C, 100? Okay, and how many say D, 25? All right, the majority had that one. It is C. So that means we hear a lot about the Ivy League. We hear about selective schools. A lot of time, a lot of information we get on a very small number of schools. And as you can see, there's a lot of other great schools that are out there. So you can take that with a grain of salt and take in that information, but just know you do have a lot of great choices. All right. Let me get back to my... Am I doing on time?
You're doing great.
Okay. So it's the why and the what. So I think we already kind of get the message across as to the why start now. I do want to emphasize it should be fun. It should be exciting. It should not be painful and stressful and yelling and screaming matches at home with your son or daughter. It's like a time to explore. Students who are here, get excited. It's the next chapter. You have plenty of time, so not to stress, but it's the next chapter of life. So these conversations you have with mom and dad and parents and guardians, the conversations you have with your kids should be light and exciting and exploratory and not excluding anything and leaving everything on the table. And as time goes on, we naturally narrow it down. It is a process. It is like kids, you cannot, a student, see, and this is what happens with seniors sometimes who are not prepared. They sit down like in the end of September, and they sit there, they've done not as much as they should have done, and they sit at their computer or their iPad like at the end of September, and they think in a night, From 7, they're going to wrap this up by 11, hammer out all the schools they're applying to, figure out where they're applying, do it, and be done. It doesn't work that way. It is it's baby steps. And you being here is a good start to those steps. So I just want to reiterate that. That's the why. The what should you be doing now? We did talk with your student, not a daily event. But like my son, he's a senior. He's graduating senior in another high school. Back his sophomore year, we had the same talk, what I just mentioned to you, and we agreed with him and I agreed that we would wait until middle to end of summer of him going into junior year. I was like, this is what I do for a living. I'm like, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I said, that's cool. I respected that, and it sounds crazy, but we agreed to talk like 5 to 10, less than 10 minutes every other week. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, this is no freaking way I'm gonna get everything we need to do in this time. But I respected it, and it worked out well because he appreciated that I respected his time. And on the flip side, it was a quality 10 minutes. Like, we got good stuff going. And the key is, we went all the time. Went throughout all junior year, into summer, and into senior year. So by the time senior year rolled, we knew we were on the same, he knew what he was supposed to do. We had his plan, he had his plan. It worked. So whatever works for your family. And then just a suggestion, the conversations you have with your kids, this is up to you, but just a thought, keep them private between you and your son or daughter. I think we parents, and I fall victim of this too with the people in the neighborhood where I live, like you start talking stuff and then but the stuff that you're talking with your son or daughter, it should be between the two of you, and so it's just kind of your thing and not sharing it out with everybody. I think it benefits both parties. It benefits your son or daughter, and it benefits you guys as well. So what you should do is talking with your son or daughter. The next one is visiting schools. In my opinion, I can't stress enough, and I'm sure our panelists will echo that. A picture's worth 1,000 words. And visiting a school, like putting 2 feet on the campus, getting an official campus tour with the admissions staff, with the student ambassador, meeting with an admissions person and a general hour Q&A session, driving around. So after you're done with the tour, then you drive around the community. You look to see where the Walmart is. You look to see where the train stations. You look to see where the expressway or the highway is. You look around. So visiting a campus, in my opinion, is probably one of the best ways to learn about a school. Okay. So when to start doing, there's no rules. You and your kids can absolutely start doing this now. I mean, colleges are not going to turn you away. Oh, you're not a junior yet, we can't let you come to campus. That is not it. So visiting, like summertime, if you have a summer vacation plan, you're heading out to Outer Banks, you're heading out to Florida, California, you're driving, flying, whatever, visit a school or two along the way. And the point is, like with our presenters, we're not saying St. Norbert's College is the place you have to go if you're looking for a small private, or on the flip side, Purdue if you're looking for a Big Ten. So as you're driving and you see a sign for a college or look it up, stop in or check it out. You just never know. And the last story about my son, and I'll shut up, I promise. But 2 years ago, we took a family vacation out to Colorado. And the halfway point between Chicago, or close to the halfway point between Chicago and Denver, was Lincoln, Nebraska. And guess where he's going to school next year? University of Nebraska at Lincoln. We stopped there, we had lunch, we literally took, on our own, we walked around for 15, 20 minutes, flaming hot, middle of summer. But he's like, we got in the car, he's like, that was kind of cool. We checked out Boulder when we went out there. But lo and behold, he liked it so much, we went back out over summer, this past summer for an official tour. So you just never know, is what I'm saying. So campus visits are good things. I have one more quiz question on that thing. How many colleges are within 50 miles of all of our District 214 high schools? of which include great diversity and variety of types of schools, including selected, large public, small liberal arts, tech-based, art-based, and mid-sized schools. So how many schools are within less than an hour-ish away from all of our schools? Is it 44, 25, 60, or 29? How many say A? Okay. How many say B? All right. How many say C? And D? All right. The answer, we'll tricky one, A. So, families, there are 44 schools that are less than an hour, easy to get to, at your fingertips. The major metropolitan cities, Chicago, we got lots of choices. So if a family vacation isn't in the docket, or you're going far away, isn't out there, isn't in the books for you this summer, or whatever, like you still have choices even being here at home. A lot of colleges are even open on Saturdays. They have Saturday appointments or visitations. So just so you know. Finally, the other things that you can do. So we talking with your son or daughter, visiting some schools. The third thing, and this is parents if you're here without your son or daughter, and students if you're here, it's about you guys, grades, okay? Keep up the grades. If you started off kind of rocky with your freshman year and but you're kind of climbing the ladder, you're going up the slope, that's good. If you started off like a rock star, students or parents with your students, if you start off doing really good, try to maintain that. It's a cumulative GPA. A lot of seniors, if they could take the Wayback Machine, the back in time machine, we survey seniors at the end of senior year. We ask them, the goods, the bads, what'd you like, any words of advice. The one thing, the common theme is that kids say, I wish I would have done better in my grades freshman and sophomore year. Because then they realize it's not as easy to bump a GPA up half or even a 1 point. So if you can kind of keep on that trajectory, that's a good tip, is to maintain good grades, and if you kind of know you can do better, kind of try to work to improve those grades. Because a year from now, when at the end of your at the end of your junior year, that's the GPA you're taking that you're going to use on your college application. So the cumulative GPA at the end of next year is what you're going to be using on college apps. So you have this semester, next fall semester, spring semester. You got 3 semesters, and that's more time to bring that GPA up if you think you need to bring it up. Okay? And then finally, and I will be quiet here in a minute, I am not endorsing this. I'm not endorsing this book, I kind of am. I mean, I'm not working for them or anything. I've read over the years, I've read a lot of books about college admission. Some are incredibly boring. Some are overwhelming with data and oh my God, you can't keep your eyes open reading it. Others are not very good quality. This book here, The Truth About College Admissions, if you're looking, parents and students, if you're looking for a good read, maybe even over the summer, it's a great book. It will inform you a lot. It's a light read, a lot of charts, a lot of bullet points, a lot of examples, a lot of stories. It's a good deal. We have Brendan Barnard, he's a high school counselor, I think in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure, I forgot. And then Rick Clark, he's in admissions, he works in admissions, I think in University of Georgia. They work well together, they wrote a great book, so some good information if you desire. Not necessary, but it's a good if you want. I just wanted to mention that. And that's where we're at. So that kind of concludes where we're at. Hopefully you understand the value, the commodity of time that is on your side. We're at the top of the funnel. Don't exclude anything from our quiz questions. The whole point to doing those, there's lots of great choices out there. Explore. It should be fun right now. some great resources, and that's why we gave you the QR codes. This is a great place to start. Every high school's College Career Center website is a good start point to begin the journey. And now I'd like to turn it over to our two guest speakers, so they'll introduce themselves, and then just kind of give you some information about their schools and address some questions, so hopefully you'll leave with an understanding of small, private, large public. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to our speakers.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Maya Rodriguez, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and ella, and I'm an Associate Director of Admissions for St. Norbert College, located in De Pere, Wisconsin, about 3 hours north from here. I'm also the Chicagoland Regional, which means that I am your counselor, so I get to work with your families, and I'm also regionally based here in the area, so I work remotely from campus. And I'm thrilled to share a little bit more about our institutions and also providing tips and suggestions as you begin the college search process.
Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer Trupis. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Admission at Purdue University. I'm also based here in the Chicagoland area for Purdue. I actually graduated from District 214, so go Bison, many years ago, and I raised my own family within the community now. But it is an honor to be here tonight, and for those of you that are interested in Purdue University, I am your Purdue counselor, and for all the high schools within the city of Chicago, Cook County, and Lake County, Illinois.
Great, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about St. Norbert. So again, we are located in De Pere, Wisconsin, again, about 3 hours north from here. We are a small, private, liberal arts Catholic institution. We are also the only Norbertine school in the world. We were actually founded by the Norbertine Order, and you may or may not be familiar with the term, and that is totally okay. But what you should know is that the Norbertines' values are in radical hospitality and communio, and it's really hard to describe what that means unless you visit our campus, so I highly encourage you to do so if you have some availability. We are home to about 2,000 undergraduate students who call our beautiful waterfront campus home, and so we are on the Fox River. We are walking distance from restaurants, coffee shops, even a movie theater, and we're about 5 minutes away from Green Bay, which is the third largest city in Wisconsin. And so our students are able to develop professionally and personally, not only on our campus, but in the greater Green Bay area. In terms of academics, we have over 80 areas of interest, with our most popular programs being in business administration, communication and media studies, education, the health sciences, and psychology. And then in terms of athletics, if there are any student athletes in the room, are there any student athletes in the room? You can raise your hand. Okay, just a few. Okay, awesome. Well, we have 23 Division III sports, with including our men's hockey team that's won 5 championships, and our men and women's basketball teams actually just won their conference, and so it's a really exciting time for St. Norbert in athletics, and we do have some newer sports that include men's volleyball and men and women's swimming and diving. And fun fact about the athletics is that our St. Norbert cheerleaders actually cheer for the Green Bay Packers, so I know that we are in Bears territory, but we certainly love the opportunity to have a close partnership with the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of fun things to do on our campus, so as a student, the benefit of attending a small liberal arts institution is that you're going to get a tight-knit community. Our student-faculty ratio is 13:1, class size average are 19. I'm actually a proud alum from St. Norbert, and I'm actually also from the Chicagoland area. I actually grew up in Mundelein, so not too far away from here. And so there's lots of resources, but I will let my colleague share a little bit more about her institution.
Hello everybody. So Purdue University is home to over 35,000 undergraduate students, 11 academic colleges, and world-renowned programs, research and faculty members. We are located in West Lafayette, Indiana, which is about 2 hours from here, give or take with traffic. And even though we're super close, we're on the Eastern time zone. So remember that if you come to visit us. Purdue is a global leader in engineering and ranks highly in nursing, pharmacy, business, hospitality, tourism and management, education, and computer science. Even though a really large university, our average class size is 25 to 30 students. We have a 13-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio. It's what draws students to Purdue. Engineering, nursing, business, computer science, flight, veterinary, and hospitality, tourism, and management. So what are the benefits of attending a large public university? Well, I think first and foremost, every university is unique. They have characteristics that define them, that make it feel like home to students. So as our counselor said here tonight, it's really important that you visit, and we'll touch on that later. But some benefits of attending a large public university may be just the resources that are available at a large university. The student population, a large student population. For example, Purdue has students from all 50 states, over 125 different countries represented on our campus. So we're a globally diverse institution, and many large public universities are. A wide range of majors and courses that students can choose from, especially if you're undecided, as was suggested earlier. A draw may be the pre-professional program, so if you're considering pre-med, pre-law, or if there are professional schools attached to that university. If there's a medical school, dental, law, pharmacy, veterinary, that may be a draw to attend that large public university. So many ways to get involved, right? With so many students, there's going to be lots of different organizations for students, band, orchestra, fine arts, theater, musical organizations, Greek life, study abroad. So lots of different ways to either deepen what you're currently passionate about or really help you discover what is out there for you. Just the wide breadth of support services, academic services, and career services that are available at a large public university, global and corporate partnerships that they have that can lead to research, internships, and co-op opportunities, and of course the different levels of sports which we kind of touched on, and then the large alumni network. So I think those are some of the benefits of attending a large public university.
And some of the benefits of attending a small liberal arts institution, I can echo a lot of the things my colleague has shared too, but a little bit of the differences is that at St. Norbert specifically, or in general for small liberal arts institutions, is that it's likely that you're going to be able to pursue multiple interests and still graduate on time in 4 years. And so if you're someone who, let's say, is undecided, but has a passion for mathematics, but also has a passion for a language maybe, being able to pursue double major, even the possibility of triple majoring, do I dare to share that right now? Do not stress. Or even double majoring and minoring, pursuing multiple interests is not rare at a small institution and still being able to graduate on time. Those personal relationships that you're going to build, not only with your peers, but with faculty and staff, is going to be pretty apparent to you from the moment you set foot at a small school. It's like, everyone knows each other, but at the same time, not everyone knows each other. So certainly don't feel like everyone's gonna know your business, but you are definitely gonna have a family pretty apparent the moment you step foot on campus. The other really great thing about typical small liberal arts institutions is that sometimes they are very likely to have a 4-year housing guaranteed, and so what that means is that it's likely that you're going to be living on campus all 4 years, and so you won't have to go through the challenges of trying to find your own apartment or trying to find your own lender that you have to work with. You can just work with our housing department directly, and so a lot of small schools have those resources for you. And in addition, obviously, there are student organizations and athletics, as well as study abroad opportunities that you can pursue, and again, still graduating on time. The finances are also a really big plus for a small liberal arts institution. It's amazing to hear that Purdue has frozen their tuition, and so that might not be the case at all small liberal arts institutions, but certainly we try to make your education experience affordable as much as we can.
So the next thing we're going to discuss with you, which has been, I believe, talked about, and so we're just going to kind of piggyback on that, is what sophomore families can do now to prepare for college, and then also what factors to consider when looking for the right fit. So I'm going to talk about what you can do now to prepare for college. Well, I think first and foremost, the resources that have already been provided to you. What is that called? The college knowledge course for parents through the 214 website, utilize that. That's awesome. And then obviously utilize the college and career resources, the center's websites as well. But students, what you could do now, it's already been said, you can continue to do well in high school. Challenge yourself appropriately. Take courses that fit your academics, and again, that you just can do well in. Be involved in activities that are fun to you. High school's fun, okay? Be involved in activities that you're passionate about. Quality over quantity. There's something to that, okay? We don't expect you to do 10 different things, but we do want to make sure that you are involved in activities that you dedicate your time to as well. You can start getting some work experience, right? Summer job, some leadership, maybe some volunteer work, whatever avenue you think is best for yourself. A lot of you, and we'll talk about this maybe during when you visit colleges, but a lot of universities have summer programs that you can participate in, summer camps. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the university you even end up going to. It's great experience to expose you to different academics and just to different campuses as well. Let's see, you could take a career interest assessment, maybe see what type of career would be best for you. Definitely start visiting, right? Researching the cost of colleges, and start creating a list of what's important to you, the different things that are important to you and right now in your life, but also what you think may be important to you when you are looking for a college. Parents, what you can do is, right, the resources, make sure you research those. Help your child, help your student start organizing those universities. I would encourage you maybe to create a spreadsheet, a document of some sort, that you don't have to memorize everything. There's way too much out there, right? So you want to make sure that you are just writing it down for yourself, typing it up, and creating a document with the important factors. And those factors could include, just availability of major, location, cost, application deadlines, requirements, scholarships, just things like that. Talk with your student about finances. That's already been stated. That's a discussion to have now, to start having those conversations. And again, visit those schools.
I would also add just quickly about what you can do now is that in addition to visiting schools, please don't discredit the virtual visits. I know that we're all very Zoom fatigued and we're done staring at a screen, but especially if you are potentially considering schools maybe outside the Midwest, it might be worth checking out their campus virtual tour on their websites to see if that's a school that it grabs your attention. And so that's something else you can start doing right now. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more is about finding your right fit. And so I know it has been shared already. I also consider finding your right fit or finding a good college fit in 3 different categories. And they were mentioned earlier. It was academic, social, and financial fit. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about each of those 3 categories, just a little bit more in depth, and so how it can relate to where you are currently in the experience of beginning your college search process. So when you think about academic fit, again, definitely start exploring what type of career paths you want to go into. It is 100% to be okay with being undecided. Do not stress about that. It is very likely that who in the room here actually knows what they want to study? Students, raise your hand. Okay, who's unsure? Okay, yeah. So just know that there is going to be a lot of resources available for you on college campuses to try to find your pathway and vocation and whatever you're hoping to study. But in terms of academic fit, what you can do right now, which has already been stated, is definitely work hard in your current classes. Think about rigor, think about those upward trends, think about if you do have some downward trends, you're already almost halfway done with high school. And so it's important for you to work hard in terms of finding a good school that fits your academic needs. And so that's what we mean when we think about academic fit. And then in terms of personal fit, and so as you start researching schools, you're going to try to take some time to reflect and figure out what you value most. And so what I mean by that is Do you want to stay close to home? Do you want to be far away from home? Do you want small class sizes? Are you okay with large lecture halls? Do you want an institution that has an honors program? Do you want to live on campus all 4 years? And so all of that has to do with personal fit. So I'd encourage you to take some time to reflect and write a list of the things that are important to you, whether that's location, size, cost, academic experience, student experience, all those things are factors that one considers when making a college decision. So you can start making a running list. And please know that your list will change throughout the next 2 years. And so when you think about personal fit, again, that's what we mean by that. And then financial fit, of course, that has to do with the cost of attendance. And I'll talk a little bit about the cost of an institution in a little bit, but just know that have those conversations about money now. I know they're difficult. Be intentional, interact with intention, and have those conversations with your parents and guardians, but also have those conversations with admission representatives too, because we can certainly let you know what the cost of attendance looks like at each institution. But overall, just take a deep breath. You have plenty of time right now, and just know that you do have a lot of support. It's not a sprint by any means, it's going to be a marathon, but enjoy the ride.
So the next question that we're going to answer from different points of view is, how do colleges view students as undecided, or if they are undecided? So how do colleges view students if they are undecided? And how do colleges help kids declare a major? Okay, so first and foremost, to piggyback off of something that she said, in most cases, I'm going to generalize this, universities, colleges that you're considering, they have an admissions counselor that's assigned to your high schools. You need to connect with these people, okay? They are there to answer your questions. You can get the information from the college and career centers. You could call the Office of Admissions and ask who your counselor is. You could probably Google it, Purdue admissions counselor, find your admissions counselor. Our website's gonna pop up. I mean, it's me, right? But it's just an example, okay? So, but we are your go-to people. You don't have to know everything. We can answer your questions for you, okay? We talk with students from freshman through senior year. So we're here for you. So my point is that every college views being undecided in a little bit of a different way, right? Some universities, they will admit into a general program. Some universities, they'll admit into, and then you choose your major later on, like sophomore year, right, or maybe for junior year. Some universities, they will admit to the School of Business, the College of Science, the College of Engineering, College of Education, in a general manner, and that's what you're admitted into. And then later on, maybe for your sophomore year, you choose your actual major within that academic college. And then some universities like Purdue are direct admission. And what that means is that at the time of application, you are applying directly into your specific major, unless you're undecided. If you're undecided, we do have an undecided major. So our students actually apply as undecided. They're admitted as undecided. So the question is that if you are undecided, it's not looked down upon. In fact, what is it, 50% of college students will change their major? Most adults sometimes don't know what they still want to do, right? So it's okay if you're undecided at the age of 18 still, or 17 when you're applying. But the question to ask is, if I'm undecided, what can your university do for me to help me choose what major it is I do want to go into? That's the question to ask, okay? So for example, Purdue has what's called an exploratory studies program. That is our undecided major. Those students are specifically entered into that program so that they can take classes in their different areas of interest. There's strong academic advising, in which the advisors are helping them understand their strengths, their areas of opportunity. They get to shadow the different occupations that they're considering. 87% of our students who start in exploratory studies stay within the major that they select. And they typically transition to their major their sophomore year, and they are absolutely able to graduate within 4 years. So we have a very structured undecided program. So again, the question to ask the university or college is, what's your undecided program like? Does that make sense? Okay.
And at St. Norbert College specifically, to give you another example from a small institution, so As my colleague mentioned, we admit students generally. You're admitted directly, well, not directly into a program, you're admitted to St. Norbert College as a whole. And so obviously we have students who know what they want to study, but we also have students who are undecided. But in general, both groups are getting accepted to just St. Norbert College. And students don't have to declare their major until the end of their sophomore year. So if a student comes in as a biology major, they're technically not going to declare their major until the end of their sophomore year. But if you come in undecided, we will work with you. Every first year student will get assigned to a first year academic advisor. Like, these are their roles. Their roles are to advise first year students, whether they know what they want to study or whether they're undecided. And so through their whole first year, they're getting those initial conversations to try to figure out, okay, if you don't know what you want to study, are there subject areas that you are passionate about? And so, for example, if you are passionate about a language, but you're unsure if you really want to study German, let's put you in the Introduction to German class just to see if you like it. Or if you're someone who wants to go into the social sciences, maybe let's try sociology, anthropology, or psychology to kind of give you an idea of what that's like. Versus a student who knows that they want to study biology, we'll start putting them in those science courses, but they still have the flexibility to change their mind within their first year. And so again, we do things a little differently here, that you're not directly admitted to the program. We don't have an undecided major specifically. We just admit you generally into our institution. Does that make sense? Okay, great.
So the next question is just how is the view of standardized testing changing in the admissions process? And we're going to go through this really quickly. There's all different, you saw that you have a tool on the website that can tell you the different meanings of testing policies. You're going to hear the words like test blind, which means they don't even look at test scores. Test optional, which means I'll let her describe it, but basically you have the option to send the test scores or not. They may not use test scores in admissions, but maybe they'll use test scores for scholarships and honors programs. So you want to make sure you connect with your admissions counselor to answer that question. You have test flexible. Test flexible means that those institutions prefer to see your test scores, but understand if for some reason you were unable to sit for the standardized test. Purdue has been test flexible the past few years because of COVID. But Purdue is going back to requiring test scores next year. So now you have schools that require test scores. Just to back up what I just said though, well over 70% of our beginner applicants have been submitting test scores to us the past few years. So for us, we really never went away from test scores. And I'll talk about in a little bit how we use those in a holistic review. But the question to ask the universities is, how do you use test scores? Ask how they use them in the admissions process. If they want test scores, the question to ask is, do you super score? And that means, let's say you take the ACT, and let's say you take the ACT twice. They'll take your highest sub-scores and use that in the evaluation, or they'll use the highest sub-scores and then recalculate like a new GPA. New composite score, sorry. So the point is that you just want to ask how they're using test scores in their admissions process. Please know that as sophomores, this could change in 2 years. So just get in contact with your admissions counselor and just ask them what the testing policy and your counselors here at school as well.
And for test optional specifically, so here at St. Norbert, we are a test optional institution, so submitting your test scores is optional. We became a test optional institution because of COVID, and we do not anticipate going back to requiring test scores. And so again, I can't echo enough of what's been shared already, is that just have constant communication with us, because we are your admissions counselors, or any other school you're considering, to make sure to ask those questions. Here, we are test optional for everything. So that includes admission, that also includes for scholarship consideration, and it also includes for specialty programs that we have.
So, thank you very much. And I think you noticed there's not intentional, a little bit of overlap of kind of, we didn't compare notes when we got together, but like, we're on the same page. So the information that we're telling kids, that we will be telling kids, what will be, post-secondary counselors become a lot more involved with their kids starting next year. And the message that the college, right from the horse's mouth, the message that the colleges are giving out, we are also echoing that and supporting that. So like kids and families are going to hear the same information from the same people. I just wanted to clarify a couple things with the testing. So all those 4,000 some odd schools across the country, as of now, the majority of them are still in the test optional kind of category. We're kind of in some flux years on like this testing, but just so you know, I think I anticipate many schools staying test optional, choose where you can choose to send a score or not. I also see some schools, I don't think a ton, but like Purdue is a great example. They are going back to testing. So kind of like being an informed consumer, that's a good question to ask. I want to reiterate the thing they talked about being undecided. I can't stress that enough. I think kids stress out about the major a lot. And hopefully, out of all the things we've talked about and things you've seen and listened, heard, it's like, that's one, that it's very important, but it's one piece of the pie. There's a lot of other things to consider. And I just want to reiterate or mention, like, on my world, like, student says, yes, I'm going to major in business. So they walk into college as a business major, they're going to have a business academic advisor, which you heard them talk about, and then, oh my God, the end of freshman year, I don't like business anymore. So they have to derail, they have to get off that track, they have to get into another school. That's like a sign of like tacking on some semesters. So it benefits if you stay if you start undecided, top of the funnel concept. You're taking the advisor will make sure you're taking classes that are applicable for a lot of different majors. And then by the end of, the latest, right, the end of sophomore year is when you have to declare a major at a school, usually. So it gives you 2 years to figure out what you want to major in. So it's okay. I just want to ask you guys too, like, so they both mentioned that they're regional reps. They live here in the Chicagoland area. And just to recap, like, when your kids from 214 school apply to Purdue or St. Norbert's, these two ladies are the ones that you were involved with the admission. You're reading their apps, right? Or no?
Go ahead, you answer first.
So yeah, so every institution does it a little differently. At St. Norbert specifically, we do read by territory. So I do get the ability to read all your applications from District 214. But I've also worked at previous institutions where we don't read by territories, and I'll let Jen answer that.
So we do not read by territory. Every applicant that applies to Purdue is reviewed regardless of their GPA or test scores. We have a holistic review, and we have an admissions committee that all the applications go through. I myself could not read all the applications from the Chicago.
So I guess what I'm
But no,
getting
you're
at-
right. So your point is, yeah, so that there are certain, it is important to build a relationship with the admission counselors from the institutions, because some of them do read your specific application, and so to have that connection with them is great.
And isn't that like something at the level, like how a student demonstrates a level of interest? Like, I really, really like this school,
Right.
being in contact with a regional rep.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
Right, and some schools do take demonstrated interest into account, so again, having those connections is really important with that.
And for those who are not familiar with demonstrated interest means, it's just any form of touch point you have with the institution. So that can be contact with us, it could be an email, it could be a phone call, text, visit. Really, that's all demonstrated interest.
Thank you. And then one little plug too, I'd like to mention, I think just this week, it's called Summer Enrichment now, not the summer school, but Summer Enrichment, I believe you received an email. So 214 is putting a little new spin on summer school. So there's traditional summer school, but there's also summer enrichment classes. And just so you know, we have a variety of college-related, like 4-day workshops. And the one that's applicable for sophomores going to junior is called My Fantasy College, and that runs from June 26th to June 29th, from 9 to 12. And that's kind of like a workshop of how to learn how to research schools. There's no credit to it, but it's just kind of an exploratory, kind of a kickstart, if you will, to getting a jump on learning about schools. So if that's something that interests you and you're in town June 26th through 29th, maybe consider that for your son or daughter. So with that, I think,
We're just gonna
I'm sorry.
We're just going to plug in two more additional notes that we have here. Is one, you'll have institutions visit each of your high schools, and so it's important to have for you to come visit with us when we come visit your high school, because we want to start building those relationships with you, and we want to be able to be your advocates. We want to help you be the best version as you begin this college search process. And so please take the time, if your schedule allows, to come see the representatives when they come visit your high school, especially when you start junior year. We typically are in the high schools all of fall, so September and October, and so it's never too early to start engaging with us. And then the other thing we wanted to plug in is attend college fairs. And so District 214 is actually having a college fair in April, and so we will be there. So come talk to us if you have more specific questions about our institution, and then there will be so many more institutions available there. All types will be there, and so certainly take advantage of that opportunity as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Why don't we give our presenters a round of applause? That concludes the evening. Thank you for coming. If you came from a little further away, I appreciate you making the trek. Have a nice evening, and look forward to seeing you. Take care.